the nature models for us what we can do in relationship and spiritually too, of like, it is right and appropriate for me to wear a coat today. Now in July, it's not.
Right.
And so I need to pay attention to the season because it tells me how to dress and what to do.
Hi, friends. Come on in because this is the Joyce Meyer's Talk It Out podcast, where Joyce teaches the Word of God in her practical, no-nonsense way. And my friends and I talk through the real stuff of living it, and we hold nothing back. I'm Ginger Stocky with Jay Williams and Aaron Cluley, three friends who are all in very different stages of life and know the importance of having honest, loving women around you. When we need a little extra help, we call up Miss Joyce and we ask her, because sometimes you just need to talk about life with your girlfriends. So consider yourself one of us and let's talk it out.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. I must admit, I was a little let down that you didn't say gorgeous. Like last week, you called me gorgeous.
I know. And you
I
are still gorgeous.
What you trying to say?
You are absolutely still gorgeous.
Okay.
But not enough to say it in words today.
I got it. Clear.
So, true story, my husband tells me quite often that I look nice or that I'm beautiful. And this sounds like a whiner. But after a while, you're like, if you say it all the time, I don't believe it anymore.
Yeah.
Especially if he doesn't look up.
When you have the flu and you say, oh, you look so beautiful. You're like, okay, no.
Yeah, you're lying.
I know better.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say hello, gorgeous every week.
Okay.
Maybe 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification because I was feeling a little ugly today. Then.
Hey, did you get your eyebrows done?
I did not, but I used a different pencil.
I like
You know how
them.
I
see
said
you.
I like a strong brow.
You did.
Before, so yeah.
I like especially when you do that
actually,
to me.
it was an accident. It's the wrong pencil, but
You made it work.
I said,
like
well,
them.
we're just gonna color in now.
You make it work.
It was a Sharpie. No.
You're looking gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, darling. So are you.
And we are thrilled to have a guest with us today. We are a big fan of Annie F. Downs.
Oh, you are kind. I sat there so quietly. I had so many thoughts about the eyebrow pencil. But then they're like, who's that voice? We don't know that voice at all. But they look very good.
Thank you.
And your ability to make the sound like a Sharpie
Did
is
you like
spot
that?
on. Yeah. That's impressive, right?
Yes.
I like the way you had a Sharpie in each hand when you did the eyebrows. It
yeah.
wasn't just
I wish
one.
she was
That's right.
efficient with her pencil drawing.
Yeah,
That's
you got to
right.
take the most of the time. You know,
That's
just
right.
get them done.
That's right.
Well, if you're not already a friend of Annie's, you will be by the time we are done today because she is a best-selling author. She has a wonderful podcast that you need to check out because Annie and her friends talk about great topics, and it's just a lot of fun. And that's exactly
Should be. That
why
sounds
it's
fun
titled what
podcast.
it is.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
That sounds fun. So we invited Annie to be here with us today, partially because we're going to be spending some more time together. You're going to
Yes.
join us at the Love Life Women's Conferences this year.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Hometown of Atlanta, so that's really fun.
Yeah.
To get to be there with all my people, and then in Denver as well.
So you better get your tickets now because Annie will be selling it out with her family.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. That's 100% true.
That's awesome.
Well, we have had a lot of people making comments on the podcast that they love being part of group, they love listening, and they would love to hear more about being a single woman in the world today.
Yeah.
And one of many, many things that Annie is a single woman.
That's true.
So
today.
you feel like
right.
representing.
I am unmarried today, so I will represent that demographic for today. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but today.
Today you own that.
Unmarried. Yeah, that's right.
Well, we wanted to talk about the fact that no matter who we are, no matter where we are, we always want something else, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I know I'm that way. There's always something that I think will make life just a little bit more fun, a little bit more adventurous, and we need to learn to be content. But that's a big topic, and sometimes people don't want to hear it.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard because a lot of times something I realize is that if I put like on a dream board or a vision board or something that I want, you know, like in relationships or just
Do you
in
do
life.
vision boards?
Yes. I used
Do
to
they
have
like
have
cutouts
parties.
from magazines?
Yes. Do
you?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Y'all don't do. Why y'all
I
looking
mean,
at me
yeah, I
like
do
y'all
that.
never
No,
done that?
I'm way in. I do them.
Oh.
How do you do it?
I don't
I
do
just
it.
go-
This is just
magazines.
new.
Oh, I
this is
go
just
to-
new for me.
Oh, I just go
For,
to like
from you, new information.
to the dollar
It's a
store.
good thing.
Yeah.
I'll get a little poster board and cut out stuff out of magazines and words.
Yeah.
And people with abs.
Like
you know,
oh my gosh.
like the Unabomber did.
Oh my gosh.
well, not a serial killer.
No, it's different.
It's a lot.
abs.
It's a lot
Yeah.
different. It's
Yeah.
usually like inspirational
Oh,
words.
that's better.
Right.
Like happy, and you know, like
That is good.
Do you do one
find
every
words.
year, Jay?
I try to do one every year.
Okay.
Like I would try to do, like we started doing them even for my daughter's birthday. So that was one of the things to help her.
cool.
You know, she never likes to finish them. So, but that's something that we had kind of started doing was like,
Yeah. That's
a
vision
great
boards.
idea.
Yeah. So
You know, I have a problem with them. Not that they're wrong, but for my personality, I know that I have to be super careful to not like think too much about what I want, because then I can get self-focused on that. Then I lose that contentment side of it. So for me, I've had to learn that about
fine
myself.
line.
I can't think too much about what I want because I'm so goal oriented. I will go hard for those things.
Okay, but let me
forget
tell you
my
what
center.
the church has done wrong. You ready? Welcome, Annie.
This is big. Okay.
let's just go there.
Is we were kind of told in youth group growing up that when you are content, you will get what you want. When you are satisfied with what you have, then you will get what you want. But what is actually true is when you are hungry, you don't have to pretend to not be hungry to get full. You have to go eat.
Well,
And so we've got to start figuring out a way to make vision boards that help us dream and pursue and go after what we want, but hold them both.
Yeah.
I felt like growing up in church, I was taught I wasn't allowed to have wants and be satisfied.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
supposed to be all the way satisfied, and then I'd magically get these things I want. And that just was never true.
Yeah.
It was never true.
And I felt the same way, but then I also then leaned on the scripture of like, you know, where there's no vision, that people perish, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
always like, if I know that I want to do something, a lot of times I can get so inundated with things that I'm doing for other people, whether that be in ministry or work, that sometimes I do lose focus of me. I lose focus of, you know, the things that, you know, I've talked about this on the podcast before. So I could be working and even forget to eat, you know?
Yeah.
So I do get content. My stomach like, "Rrr," and I'm like, oh, forget it, you know,
Right.
keep moving. And so sometimes I need that visual just to remind me like, hey, you have to prioritize yourself too. So I do like to have, you know, like just something to look forward to sometimes. And then the thing that I really had to work on is not punishing myself when I don't necessarily get all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or because I still don't have abs, but you know, it's a cool thing to like, I wish I had them, you know. Does that make
really
sense?
good.
I don't know
Absolutely.
where I was going with that because we went somewhere else, but it's all good. But
No, I think you make a really good point that we really all need something different in our lives to focus us, to learn how to have goals and be content,
Yeah.
and to be able to do them both.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good
That's
point.
the thing is how can you hold I have more than I deserve, and there are things I want I do not have.
Right.
Both of those are always true, and we get to help our friends in our real lives, and they're listening. Our friends figure out what it looks like to hold both of those.
Yeah.
I think I just had a revelation about my whole life just now while y'all were talking.
Okay.
really,
Wow.
do
Nice.
share.
Maybe I should make you wait like to the next 10 minutes.
Why?
And then
Whole
share it
revelation.
later?
I'd like tease a little bit.
I think you should.
Let's take a teaser and we'll be back with you.
Yeah, it's like, there you go.
Commercial
Whole
break.
I can have vision. I love vision for other people. I like to think of vision for what I want here at work and what I think we can do for my family. But to do it for myself feels almost selfish to me, because I think it's a lot of what you're saying, Annie, is that's too much about, that's not the way that it's supposed to be. I need to be very happy with what I have right now. So I shouldn't think that much about myself.
I think you should go
Oh,
for it.
I'm just going to sit here and ponder that
I think
for a
you should
little
totally
bit.
go for it.
I think I will.
But I love that you kind of
I just thought about that.
landed there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So we actually got some questions from all of our friends, and so I'm gonna ask you a few questions
Okay.
from them, Annie. Okay. So this one says, "How is it okay not to be happy being single, despite being happy with and in yourself?"
Totally. Right? I mean, I think I totally think you can say this is not the life I want. And
Yeah.
the question is, are you sitting at home and saying that to yourself or saying that to Facebook?
Yeah.
Or are you feeling that and still going out and meeting people?
Yeah.
That is such a
And
key.
are you
still
doing
living
anything?
your
Yes.
life?
Are you doing anything to
Yeah.
remedy the thing that bothers you? Because we aren't in control of in fact, we talked about it at lunch, Aaron, this idea of like, it is a miracle when a man and a woman end up at the same place at the same time and fall in love. It's a miracle. Yeah. But I'm probably not going to fall in love with someone if I don't leave my house. Unless it's the mailman, because he's the only one who shows up every day. Yeah. Right? So yes, I think you can be not satisfied with your situation. But then my follow-up question is always, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right.
What's your next move? You don't have to like be on dating apps unless you want to be. And I think they're great, and you don't have to go out every single night, but are you anywhere where you're meeting people that might either be able to set you up or might be someone you can meet yourself?
So that is not the definition of discontent.
I don't think so.
Wanting something else is exactly
Wanting
what we were talking about.
and discontent are two very different things.
Right.
And wouldn't you say, I could say this for myself, so you say if it's true of you, but when you are wanting other things that you don't have yet, doesn't that push you closer to Jesus? Because you're doing your best to do what you can do. The rest is up to him.
That's right.
So if you're doing your best, that pushes you to him to say, okay, I trust you to do the rest. I'll do my part, but now it's you.
Yeah.
So I feel like some of that is God working in us and using that.
Yeah. It's that balance of like trusting that God knows what we don't know.
Yeah.
And he protects us from relationships in work and in personal life that are not right for us, but also not expecting God to have someone delivered to your front door. Like it's a teamwork, right? It's teamwork. It's God doing what only God can do, but then Annie has to be involved too.
Right.
If I want to see a change.
Yeah. Well, it's also a mistake for us to assume that everyone is in that same situation, that every woman who is not married
wants to be
married.
Totally.
Exactly. That's an expectation of all women that's not accurate either.
That's right.
And if we delight ourselves in the Lord, he will give us the desires of our heart.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means we get every little thing we want. I think that means when our focus is on him, he changes our heart to want those things that fit into his plan for our life.
Right.
To match his desires.
And so it can be a long process. Sometimes we don't always get all those things in our timing either.
What I can know is God's promise for me is Psalm 37:4, that he will give me the desires of my heart. He has not promised me a husband and children. Those are desires of mine, but that's not the promise.
Right.
The promise is he'll give me what my heart will desire. And so I have to check in and listen to and be like, well, actually, what am I desiring?
Yeah.
I'm desiring to do what God has for my life. Oh, that's may be different.
Yep.
You know, I think sometimes we accidentally call things promises from God that aren't actually promises from God. And we like to say that
feel
here.
better.
Yeah, because we go like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he promised me A, B, and C. And it's like,
Yeah, it wasn't that specific.
that's not what the scripture
Sorry.
says.
Sorry. And
Let's go back to the Bible.
You know what? I was thinking about, I have several friends who are either single or divorced, and that just brings up, and so a couple of them are super, super Christians that are, like what you said about,
Really good ones, yeah.
just Jesus, I'm just focused on Jesus. And like, but you boring. Like, you're not doing anything with your life. And so what I hear you saying is, trusting God in the process, being content where you are, but still living life. And then another thing you said about the apps, and also adjusting to time, adjusting to the
so
time,
good,
because a lot of people that are out there that are single are just like, oh no, I'm not using no apps, or I'm not getting on no, online or anything, but adjusting to the times. If you're not out there and doing things, there might be other ways that you can meet people. So I love the fact that you brought that up. Like, if that's not your thing, don't do it, but don't knock it if you don't.
But here's the other thing about apps, ladies. Let me give you a
Tell us about it.
Please tell us, because I don't know nothing about them.
Here is the thing. When you are at church, let's use church as an example. You're at a church and you meet a man that is in your age bracket, that is someone you'd be attracted to, and y'all hang out in a group. You don't totally know the intentions unless he says, or one of you says, hey, let's go on a date. Let's do. But on the apps, everybody knows why you're there.
Yeah.
You're there because you want to meet someone.
Yeah.
Now, some of them are better than others, but you can know the intention from the get-go. Sure, you're going to end up being friends, but the reason you're there and the reason I'm there is we're looking for a relationship.
To take some pressure off.
As long as you're on the
right
right app.
Real
right. You don't want to get on the wrong app, because then you know what they want to.
That's right. That's it.
It's some bad apps out there.
That's right. There's different ones
Be
that
careful
are better
with
than
your
others.
app.
Yeah.
Today's takeaway from Ginger.
That's right. Thank you, Ginger. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said,
Yeah.
Aaron, of like, it takes off a little bit of the pressure because you aren't doing that. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I think, what does this mean? You aren't like reading the tea leaves of the
Yeah.
dating relationship. You're like, oh no, I met him on an app where we are looking for a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just makes, I'm 2 thumbs up for Christians using dating apps.
So, how are you staying content in this season, and what do you focus on in this season of singleness?
Yeah, for starters, it's a season. And so there are things I can do right now that I will not be able to do when I'm married with kids. And so part of it is listing. I mean, I actually keep a list of things I get to do right now that I will not get to do when I'm married with kids. There are things that I will lose. If you, not you, I won't speak about any of you guys. I probably have often thought when I get married, then I get everything. I never think about what you lose. And as I have grown in myself and in my faith, it has felt like the Lord's been like, hey, remember, once you're married, travel changes. Hey, once you're married, how you spend your money changes. Once you're married, even your relationship with God shifts. Because I remember so clearly one time, y'all, I was seeing somebody and I was getting ready in the morning and in my house, and he was not there. And I was blow drying my hair, and I felt the Lord say, if this is the right guy, you and I change forever.
Wow.
And it stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do I want to say to God today when it is just me and him? Now, spoiler alert, I didn't marry that guy, but it has given me this perspective. Contentment is a weird word for me too, probably because of some of the teenage grown up in the 90s and 2000s that the three of us have talked about. So contentment's a weird word for me, but what is very true is I am eyes wide open to the gifts of this season of my life that I will trade for different gifts when I'm married with kids.
Trade's a great word.
Yeah. So I lose things and I gain things. And I am so thankful for what I have right now that is unique to this season of my life.
I don't know if you knew this. These two ladies know that I'm a listener of your podcast.
Thank you, Aaron.
So anyways, I've heard you talk about how in the season of life that you're in, so you are very intentional with the friendships that you have, and you're part of other families' lives.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you have all these other kids that you are.
Yes, I call them my mini BFFs.
Right.
All my
What do
friends'
they call
kids.
you?
They call me Crazy Annie.
I just love it.
And that's so funny. Like,
That's
not
the best name
Annie,
ever.
it's Crazy Annie. It is so fun.
You are taking advantage of this season, and not only is that probably edifying to you, but also to those families.
Yeah.
To get to have.
Yeah.
Our other friend Megan, we've talked about before too. Before she moved away, she's still single, and so she became part of our family, and my kids adore her. And not only did she tell me that was good for her soul, but I needed her so badly during that season.
Yeah.
And so just how God uses those different seasons as we're all going through life, just trying to figure it out one day at a time. I think that's such a beautiful picture of how God does that.
Can I tell a 2-minute story real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have this family that every Christmas, it's a husband and wife and 3 kids. Every Christmas, the 3 daughters and I watch a Christmas movie their last day of school, like that night. And we've done it 8 years now. And we wear footy pajamas and we eat dinner and we watch a Christmas movie. And 2 years ago, the middle daughter, we finished watching the movie. We're all piled on the couch. We like take the same picture every year. You know how it goes. And the middle daughter's like, relaxed. And she's like, I hope you never get married. And I was like, get behind me, Satan. I was like, what are you saying? I kind of paused, and the mom's mortified. And I'm like, and Sadie lets me tell the story. I'm like, Sadie, why would you say that? And she said, I think when you get married, you won't come over as much anymore. And it gave me this moment of going like, oh yeah, I get to be in kids' lives. I'm going to cry saying this, y'all. I get to be in I didn't know when my best friends had kids that they were giving me new best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But they have. And my calendar allows me to be in a lot of families' lives. And that will change. And so...
That's
So I am
beautiful.
so thankful that I get to eat dinner with families and be with families and have these kids call me Crazy Annie and expect me to show up every Thursday night. They like, well, it's Thursday. Wait,
Of course you're going to be here.
Our church added a service on Sunday, so I couldn't go to this one family's house on Sunday afternoons anymore. And I didn't even think they would notice. The kids were like, "You don't come over on Sundays anymore." I was like, "Oh, right. Sorry. I forgot to communicate what was happening with you."
That's cute.
But it's a gift. It's a gift. And so the longest answer to that question is there are gifts in this season that will not always be gifts for me.
Yeah.
And so I will eat those up while I have them, and then I will trade them in for the next thing God has for me.
That is perfect, because whatever season you are in, there is a beautiful gift in this time for you from God. So the Bible says so much about this very thing, about the wonderful things that he has for us and about contentment. And Joyce has certainly lived a lot of this in her life. So let's dig into what the Bible has to say with Joyce about contentment and putting God first.
Let's look at Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12. Contentment doesn't mean that you never want anything else. It means that you can be satisfied where you're at on the way to where you're going. How many of you would admit today that this is the right place for you to be today, because if the truth be told, you have had a fair amount of discontentment? You know, we are a people created by God, and we're created for God, solely for his purpose, to love him, to worship him, and to be the object of his love and his abundant grace. And so anytime that we let other things that we want get ahead of our relationship with God, it always just poisons us on the inside. And I'll tell you the truth, honestly and truly, for a lot of years, even as a Christian and even as a woman in ministry, I really didn't know what I'm trying to tell you here today. And I really just could not get happy. You know, I thought, well, if I could have, you know, the growth of my ministry was really important to me, because that was my goal and dream. Whatever your goal and dream is, you want to see that progress. And so I thought, well, if I could just have 500 people in a meeting, then I'd be happy. Of course, then when I got 500, then it was like, well, if I could just have 1,000 people at a meeting, then I would be happy. Some of you have more money now than you ever thought that you would have in your life, and still there's a thing in our flesh that wants more. Some of you have more success, you have a great position, you thought, well, if I could just get married, I'd be happy, and so now you're married, and now you're thinking, well, if this person I'm married to would just behave a little better, then I could be happy. Well, I could be happy if I had a bigger house, so now we got the big house. Well, I would be happy if I had somebody to help me clean this big house. So that then you get somebody and you don't like the housekeeper. Well, I would be happy if I could get along with this person who helps me clean the big house. Come on, is anybody home today? Whatever it is that you think that you need today to make you happy, I can tell you that it really won't do it for very long. It might for a short period of time, but it won't do it long term. But if God is first in your life, I mean first, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, then other things will be added unto you, and you can have them with joy. God is like, he's jealous in the way that he doesn't want anything else to be before him, because he knows that we were created solely for him and by him, and that we don't function right when we put anything else ahead of him. So when God tells us to keep him first, it's for our benefit that he tells us that, because that's the only thing that can truly make us happy. Now, the Apostle Paul in Philippians 4, verses 11 and 12, not that I'm implying that I was in any personal want, for I have learned how to be content, satisfied to the point where I'm not disturbed or disquieted in whatever state I am in. I love that. I've learned how to be content no matter what state I'm in. I know how to be abased and live in humble and straitened circumstances, and I know how to enjoy plenty and live in abundance. I have learned in any and all circumstances the secret of facing every situation, whether going well-fed or going hungry, having sufficiency and enough to spare, or going without and being in want. I have strength for all things through Christ who empowers me. Now, I personally think that we may be bordering on being guilty of having abused Philippians 4:13. Because we tell people, oh, you can do anything. You've got the ability to do anything. But Paul was talking about something specific there. He said, look, you have the strength to stay happy if you're not getting what you want, and you have the strength to be happy if you are getting what you want. You have the power of God to be happy no matter what.
So knowing that we have that power because of God in our life is so great, because I often don't think that I have it on my own sometimes. You know, there are so many areas that I am very content, and other areas that I want more. I just know that there's more for me, but there's still contentment in all of that. And to be honest, because I've been married my whole life, so I just pretty much
Since birth.
pretty much came out that way. And so I am one of those people. I was very driven. I did not want to get married. I got married with the
That's
understanding.
so annoying.
I know, and it's okay to say that.
Just
I love
kidding.
that.
I love that about you.
I got married with my husband with the agreement that we would not have kids.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't because I love children so much. It wasn't because I didn't love children. It was because I wanted to sow into other children in the world. You know, it's one of those Christian things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Was that there's so many hurting children all over the world, and I want to go. And I meant that with all my heart. So anyway, I wasn't going to get married. I wasn't going to have any kids. And so then when God put this man in my life that I loved, and after we had been, dating for many years, it was like, it wasn't many years. It was just through college, but
yeah,
So
that's a while.
many.
But then you're like, okay,
I mean, when you're 21, that's a fourth of your life.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And so then it's, all right, how am I content? Is my contentment going to come from what I thought my dreams always were? Do I leave this person now? Or do I walk this new path where I think God is taking me? Yeah. And I think it's kind of like the flip side of it. It wasn't what I was panicked getting married because I'm too young and this is not what I wanted. I love this guy. What do I do? And Tim knows this, so it's all good talking about it. The girls know, that we weren't thinking about kids, and God completely turned that around. And it's the most wonderful thing, at this time in my life that I've ever done. But I think the point is what we think will make us happy is not always what really makes us happy. And God knows so much better.
Yeah, so much better. I mean, how many guys, for those of you who didn't get married at birth, how many guys that we didn't date that we wanted to date? I look back now and go, man, the guy I would have married in college, what would I be able to do this job?
Right.
Would I be doing the thing God has made me to do if I'd have been married 20 years ago? The answer is no.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean one's right or wrong. It meant for my story that he just knows.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is better than good to me. And so I am aware that he knows what I don't know. In fact, my prayer life has changed, particularly when it comes to dating, where instead of going, I say what I want, Jay, like I say the desires of my heart, like this guy, I would like for this guy to work. But also, if there are two gardens here, and one of them is that this is the right guy and one of them is that he isn't, I'm going to pray that you'll grow the right one. Grow the right garden and let me see fruit in the right garden, because I know you know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you my desires, but I'm going to pray both gardens and let you grow the one and show me the fruit from the one and then I go like, well, this was easy.
Yeah.
That
Because
guy wasn't right. Because
Where we want to be is where God puts us.
Yes.
That's so mature, but that's really not the culture that we live in. Like, most people don't do that. Most people
I've been
think,
single a long time, sister. I've had a lot of practice.
And so I'm saying like
Yeah.
a lot of people today. I counsel so many girls and help them so much, like with, this guy, he's really not a Christian. He doesn't really go to church and he doesn't do this, but I believe he's going to start coming to church with me and
Girl,
he's going to
I've done
start,
it.
he's going to start getting better. And it's like, well, what do you, you can't make him into what you want. And that's something that was a false perception I had at marriage at birth. I felt I was 20 as well. And so I was like, I thought that he could develop into what I wanted.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
You
Date
know-
the guy that you think he can become.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's
not fair.
word of wisdom. It's not fair to them.
Yeah.
It's not fair to even you.
That's right.
You know, and so the red flags that you see when you first see it, or when you're dating, take those as a heed. You know, like heed the warnings to say like, okay, well maybe that's not the good fruit. You know, that's not good fruit for me. You know, but don't be one of those people that are like so big on just wanting something. You just want to be married that you'll settle and not take the time to pray and ask God exactly what you said, Annie,
For the
about
right garden.
for the right garden, the right fruit.
Settling is such a funny thing too, right? Because let's go back to our teenage growing ups of don't settle for the wrong guy, don't settle for the wrong guy. I think where we have to handle that really carefully is what really matters. Well, his faith really matters. Because who do you want to be parenting children with if you're going to have children? So his faith really matters. To me, there's other things that matter. His job matters. There is one. You know, like it matters that he has a job. But then you meet someone who is a different, comes from a different background as you, or a different race, or has grown up differently than you, or for me is a Florida Gator. I can't. That feels like settling.
line
right?
is drawn.
Right? And then you also need that community in your life going like, hey, it's not settling if he's different than you thought you
Yeah.
were
Right.
expecting.
Yeah.
Settling is, we need to use that word on the things that cannot change.
Yeah.
For faith people, a faith spouse. I had a non-Christian friend, Jay. I had a non-Christian friend, a guy say to me, please marry a Christian. And I was like, yeah, I'm planning on it. Like, that's my plan. And he had been a non-Christian who married a Christian, and they had divorced. And he said, it wasn't that we didn't love each other. It's that we always used a different map of how we wanted our lives to go.
That's huge.
And that was huge to me. So there are things that would be settling, but man, be open that he may have a different job than you think he's going to have. He may be a different age than you think he's going to be. He may be from a different background. There can be differences that are not settling.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
need to give ourselves permission to like, oh, it isn't settling if my friend picks someone from a different church.
Yeah.
Or a Florida Gator, as my problem would be.
Yeah.
As a Georgia Bulldog, that's hard for me.
And set realistic standards too.
Yeah,
I've
for
seen
sure.
guy friends too that aren't even cute and want Beyonce looking girls.
Listen, let's watch me lean forward
Andy,
into
lean
my
in on that
microphone.
I need you to be Denzel then, because you're not
Listen,
Michael B. Jordan or
I know.
somebody.
I'm like, you can be picky if you want to be alone.
right,
But
looking
how
like
about-
Shrek, but you want
Thank
Beyonce.
you.
My
Thank
bad.
you. Thank you. I mean, can I get a witness? That is the truth.
Well, I think we've got time for one more question
Okay.
from our friends who are listening. So this question is, why do you think people view singleness as being behind in life?
Because I think it was historically. I think there was
Culturally, that
that's
was-
true. And also, in 100 years ago, women couldn't financially, economically exist in a healthy, God-fearing way.
But shouldn't we
without
have
a
all
spouse?
moved past that by now?
You would think so, but we love watching The Marvelous Miss Maisel on Amazon, and we love watching The Crown and all these shows from the 50s that show a simpler time that makes it feel like marriage is the option when you're 18, the only option. And if once you're out of your parents' house, then you better be married.
Yeah.
So it does feel like, and I would say that the church does a little historically. I feel like we're way better than we have been, but I think the church historically kind of gives the feeling of, hey, when you're 17 and you're in high school, we need to talk to you about getting married because that's going to be the next thing you do. And then you go like, oh gosh, it's not the next thing. Oh gosh, I went to college and oh gosh, I didn't meet him. And oh gosh, and 30 and and so I think culturally in faith and just in the world, historically it has been to be a person over 25 unmarried was delayed. It's different now,
Yeah,
I think.
very. But you
think.
still get that vibe from people sometimes.
Probably not at this point, not as much. Genuinely, it's almost like a hourglass shape. When you're in your 20s, it feels like, oh yeah, you're fine. Listen, you're fine. Live your life. Go travel. Da, 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 da. And then you get like 28 and people are like, hey, is everything all right? Do you need something? Are you in counseling? Like you get, so the hourglass comes in from like 28 to 34 when most of your peers are having small children, when people are in those first years of marriage, and there's that feeling of like, you're behind. And then when you get 35, people are like, you know what? You're all right. You're fine. We were worried, but now we aren't. Like, it's like they come back out of the hourglass a little bit, has been my experience. I'm not sure if that's everyone's experience. But I also moved to a bigger city than where I grew up for my 30s. And so the dating age and the marriage age changed.
Yeah.
My peers that we're in our late 30s, my peers have preschoolers. My peers in my hometown have middle schoolers. And it's just a difference of what the city,
Right.
what the culture was like in that particular city.
Well, I'll tell you, just like we were talking about how glad I am that God knows what I needed, even more than I did.
Yeah.
Because I'm, so happy that I followed the path that God took me on. But in the same way that God knows better, I have to realize that people do not know better.
Yeah.
That no matter what people are saying to me, if God's not leading me there, then that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
And that's where contentment comes from too, because so often we do feel discontent because we're comparing ourselves to everybody else, or we're listening to what somebody else is saying that we should be or be doing.
Yeah.
And we have to stop that.
I've been thinking about that in the past week too. Not so much for being single or not, but so I know a lot of moms, and a lot of them stay home with their little kids. And it's just things that I hear are that they want more, but they're home with their kids right now, and that's the season they're in, and they love that. But you feel like sometimes like you're missing or something. Like you could be doing more, but this is a season you're in right now. So
Whether you're home or whether you're not, right?
yeah,
I could be doing more somewhere else. I could be doing more if I was home. Yeah.
but to be content, like you're saying, with this is the season that I'm in, like you were talking about earlier, Annie, this is my current season. God will probably change it again. Yeah. And we're going to be constantly shifting seasons that we're in our life. So how do I make this season that I'm in right now be the very best I can let it be, and do all the things I can do in it, but not feel bad that I can't do all the things I could do in that last season.
Yeah.
And that there are going to be new things I can do in the next season that I can't do yet. I can't even fathom them yet. But it's okay to, I think what I'm thinking is, let go of what you used to be. It's okay to say, that is not who I am right now. And it's okay. It's okay that one day I'm going to have to let this season go because I'm going to enter the next season, and learning how to be okay in each of those and leaving some things behind.
And if you think about the weather, it's winter right now when we're recording this.
Yeah.
If I'd have shown up in t-shirt and shorts and just been like, but I love wearing t-shirt and shorts. You're like, that doesn't match the season.
You're so ridiculous.
You're ridiculous, Annie. You're freezing. I mean, there just is this, the nature models for us what we can do in relationship and spiritually too, of like, it is right and appropriate for me to wear a coat today. Now in July, it's not.
Right.
And so I need to pay attention to the season because it tells me how to dress and what to do. And so for our friends who are stay-at-home moms right now, pay attention to your season.
Yeah.
Wear what you should wear.
Yeah.
You can wear sweatpants every day. I lived a life. Yeah. I would love that. And at some point when I get to do that, I will miss getting on airplanes a couple of times a month.
Right.
You will always miss a season you used to be in, but you can also always find something you love about the season that you're in if you are looking for it.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it always changes. Spring will come and summer will come, and we will wear shorts again, and we will wish it was cold one day. It's just the way we are as humans.
That's true.
That's very true. Annie, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really grateful.
We've loved it. And we just want to remind everybody that we have a free resource for you. So if you would like to check that out, it's called Consistently Content. It is at joycemeyer.org/talkitout. And it is a free download. So go there and get that. Also, when you're on social media, use the hashtag #TalkItOutGirls, and I'll just keep sharing what we're thinking about this, and keep digging deep and not holding anything back.
Apparently. Yeah, I said way more than
as we have all seen. And sign up for our email subscription. Subscribe to the podcast. We love you all.
Love you.
You are gorgeous. And we will see you next time.
And now I'm content.